Well, hi, everybody. It's the Week in the Tackle podcast, the podcast where we usually look back at the previous week and tackle the things that are interesting. But it's very, very busy for me right now. I'm doing the Premier League like every day over the Christmas period, and normies have like holiday with their friends and family. So we're recording this in advance. Not only that, Brian Dunseth is also, well, he's here with me now, but he's actually in real life on holiday.
Drunk as a skunk. Down at the pool.
Drunk as a skunk. Semi-naked, being slathered by some sort of oil. I imagine someone's chiseling his forehead to try and make it move because of the incredible Botox job. So we're going to do some listener questions, Danny, today.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. By the way, I got a message last night at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was from our good friend Joe Cummings, who I've introduced, is one of my best friends growing up. His dad was my general manager my first time as a pro in Boston at the New England Revolution. Spent hours and hours and hours hanging out with this young man. And he literally said, I love the Botox bit at 12:48 in the morning. And I just literally, he woke me up and I just wrote, F you, Joe Cummings. Sorry, Tim. But unfortunately, Tom Rennie is speaking it into existence, even though my eyebrows are raised and I got lines. You can't.
Yes, but it's this middle bit. I found out recently from a friend of mine who gets the tox that you can, it's the middle bit as well as the top bit. And what you might have is...
You do everywhere. Crow's feet, all of it.
You might have an over-toxing. And so this bit can like go over your eyes like your Tim Horsey.
No, it all moves.
You don't need that. You don't need that.
Balding, going gray. It's a disaster.
It's not great.
Hey, kids, after 45,
imagine balding.
Sucks.
Imagine balding. What embarrassment that would be.
King of the balls, Tom Rennie.
King of the balls. King of the balls. So look, what we've done here is some listener questions sent in to us on a combination of the Hell site, but also Blue Sky, where you can find me these days. We've got a few questions sent in.
I'm over there.
So if you've got questions, you can send them to us directly. You can find us on the Hell site on Week in the Tackle, and we'll pick them up and we'll do another listener questions, I'm sure, in the summer. But this is our special festive. We're both either too busy or on holiday. Listener question special. Tim Horsey is here with some questions.
Hello, gentlemen. We're going to start with one that it's relative for the holidays, but it also has a footballing theme to it. And so some of these are going to be just completely off the mark. Some of them will be very soccer related. This is kind of a combo of both. Tom, I'll start with you. Your New Year's resolution for your team or any other team that you would like to pick out. And mind you, Lopetegui might be gone by the time this releases. So just, maybe have a backup plan in mind.
Hey, by the way, if it is the mock turtleneck Iraola that gets Lopetegui fired, that will be such a kiss of unique brilliance when it comes to the hatred that Rennie had for Iraola in his opening days at Bournemouth.
Well, we are recording this before the Bournemouth game. So, spoiler alert, this is a long way before Christmas, this Christmas special. But we record when we can.
Yeah.
But look, Lopetegui is going to be in a job. I'm very convinced of that by the time people hear this in a couple of weeks. So look, my New Year's resolution, I'll give you both. Danny can do both and I'll do both as well, right? For my team, my New Year's resolution is, because Lopetegui is not going to go, nor will he have gone, is to appreciate the potential of the season that we are in. And beyond the kind of top three, European spaces are wide open. There is a possibility it could be down to 8 for European qualification this year. It is wide open. Why is it wide open? Because of Forest and Fulham using basic competence in football. They aren't trying to reinvent the wheel. They aren't doing like Russell Martin, who just got the tin tack at Southampton, like, I'm a bit clever. I'm the cleverest guy in football, and we're going to do this and that, and I'm going to show you what football really is. No, it's 4 centre-halves. It's 2 centre-halves who clear it away. It's 2 defensive midfielders. One to boot you up in the air like Ryan Yates and Tyler Adams do. Just kick you until you can't be kicked no more. And then you've got wingers who get to the end line and a big geezer who scores. Football is a simple game complicated by Real Madrid's third-choice goalkeeper from 1997. So what I would like is basic competence from my team this year, next year. That's what I'm hoping for. And if Juan Lopetegui still thinks he's the cleverest person in the room, then I hope he leaves to be replaced by either somebody clever or someone who can do the basics right. More broadly in the new year, what I would like is all the title races to continue. One of the worst things about football right now is that it's all been taken from us by sovereign wealth funds and oligarchs and funds and all these tossers that just want to use football to either make as much money as possible or make their diabolical governments seem palatable to normies who don't really study, the human rights aspects of Saudi Arabia. Sidebar, can't wait for the World Cup. So like that's what football has become. And so it's almost like the millionaires and lowercase billionaires are taking on the uppercase billionaires and the sovereign wealth funds now. So we need to hope that, of all people, Evangelos Marianakis and Khan at Fulham, like these are the people now, and even like Daniel Kretinsky, who just bought the post office at West Ham because he's so sort of rich. These are the guys that sort of need to give us something. If you're going to be rich, if you're going to spoil society, at the very least, make your football teams competitive, you dicks. Sorry, Tim. So I hope the title race in England continues. I hope, which Todd Bowley has given us, and Badadik Bali and these nut jobs. So I hope that continues, but also we've got title races in Spain, and it's not just like the duopoly. There's the treble of teams this year. In Italy, there's like 9 teams trying to win the league. Leverkusen is second in Germany as we speak. Like, I hope next year, all the big European leagues go a bit like MLS in a way, and there's no way of knowing who's going to win it when we come down the home straight. That'll be a positive. So that's my New Year's hope.
Yeah, all you got to do is say Iraola, and to start the show, there goes Tom Rennie. He just taking off. For me, for Manchester United, it's obviously on the backside of Manchester's red and winning the Derby 2-1 at the weekend at the Etihad. For Ruben Amorim to bare his teeth, the manner in which he did with Marcus Rashford and Garnacho, to effectively say it's less about competition, it's about more questioning the character of the two individuals to be left off the game day roster, and arguably maybe outside the Liverpool game, the biggest game that you could possibly have in the 2024-25 season. It took monumental stones from Ruben Amorim to make that decision. And obviously now on the backside of 3 points in the back pocket at the Etihad. And by the way, doing it with 2 different teams in 2 different competitions in the better part of a month and a half, Amorim has now beat Man City and Pep Guardiola. To continue to see whatever this evolution of a cultural shift or dynamic looks behind the scenes. We've talked about it for years and years and years. I almost wish Marcus Rashford was coming into the team like Diallo's coming into the team with Amorim at this stage of his career, as opposed to maybe have gone through the fluctuation of different managers and seen the good and the bad and the ugly. I wonder outwards if Marcus Rashford is going to be made for sale, if they are willing to take a loss, if they can recover him. Or if they push him out the way Jadon Sancho has been pushed out, the way they tried to push Harry Maguire out to West Ham at the start of last season. But it's a challenge nonetheless. We've seen some good. At least you can understand what Amorim is trying to do. And for a United fan, just continuing to hear the way he verbalizes things publicly seems to at least warm the appetite enough for me that I've liked what I've seen so far. Bigger picture, I'm gonna stick with the conversations. I would love to see a 4 or 5 team legitimate race in the Premier League, meaning that there's, a fluctuation of 3 to 4 points between 5 teams as we break out of the February window. I think as we've all kind of continued to evolve and watch the Premier League, knowing that the maintaining of the level of intensity or underlying and kind of weaving around the scrutiny, the way Enzo Maresca is trying to so publicly arc the Chelsea season, that for me is what I would love to see. I'd love to see a genuine 4 to 5 team title race with minimal points separating to see how the hunters go to the hunted and those that are then trying to cling to whatever responsibility they have to try to push for a trophy at that stage of the season.
Well,
what about you, Tim? Yeah, you got to give us yours as well. You can't just do questions. I can see you were coming with another question there. No, you can do sorry Tom here if you like. What are yours?
I was just going to say we are going to have a title race in the Premier League because Liverpool is ultimately going to it up. Sorry, Tom. Sorry, Dunny. Man, I don't know. I'm not really prepped.
That's work for himself, folks. He's doing work for himself. That's like shooting yourself in the foot.
As he notes 9-10 into this lovely podcast that you're listening to. I guess for me to kind of take it back to a more serious note with Liverpool, just consistency, I think, is one of the things that, like, to keep up this consistency and not have this moment of turmoil, whether injuries come, suspensions, fixture congestion, whatever it is. I would like to see this team kind of, and this is a really bland answer, but maintain that level and not have that moment of the Gerrard slip or not have that moment where all of a sudden they're dropping points consecutively to teams that they don't deserve to. That would be for me. And generally, I guess I would like to see this podcast expand into one of the biggest things in soccer. How about that? The American,
beautiful.
Yeah, the American British dichotomy that you guys have. Obviously, I'm speaking as somebody who is very biased, but I listen to this show every week because I have to take out every single swear word, and even
You're
though
welcome. Sorry, Tim.
let's see, it's 10:22. There, we're 10 minutes in, by the way, gents. We'll do some live producing as we go. I think you guys, honestly, not to be too sappy here, but you guys do an incredible job with this, and your dynamic between the two of you is awesome to listen to, even if I'm forced to listen to it. And I just wanted to continue and grow as we move on into 2025.
By the way, did you catch that? He just buried the lead right there. He said we didn't deserve to draw those games. That's what he said before. Then he came back and gave us
that.
the go check the tape.
Okay.
I would like to play games where
tape,
we didn't deserve to lose or we didn't deserve to drop points.
No, I would just say dropping points against opponents that you should beat is.
So
what
you're
I'm
Tyler
saying.
Terrence. You'd also deserve to be in Champions League.
Don't do that. Don't do that. No,
Timmy Terrence.
Timmy Terrence.
Timmy Terrence.
Dig it in.
There's too much work for me where I could go on a swearing tirade and call into the FC shout line, but I'm not going to do that.
Don't do it.
Let's move on to our next question here. Dunny, I don't know why I'm going to start with you on this because I'm just going to hear about text groups that nobody else is on. But here's one.
Headley.
Yeah.
Heads.
This is just simply Spurs? Question mark?
Spurs.
How can a team have such a great goal differential yet be a mid-table team with a relatively level record? How is that possible? Why? It can't just be one thing. Obviously, from an upset Spurs fan here.
Yeah.
Discuss. Spurs?
Well, I would also, I think I would want to make an argument for Newcastle United to be in the same conversation as Big Ange Postecoglou and Spurs, but coming at it from very different aspects. For Newcastle and the Saudi Arabian investment, we thought that year where not only they solidified and maintained Premier League status, but then to qualify for Champions League, we thought that was going to be the jump off, right? I know financial fair play or whatever the flying squirrel we're calling it nowadays, having to abide by certain structures and rules and premises by the Premier League, it's a different kettle of fish, but the inconsistency is what's confusing me about Newcastle United. The reason why I use that as a reference point, I'll do the exact same for Spurs. What is it now? 2 wins in the better part of the last month and a half, and kind of teetering between this existence of we can go to the Etihad and win 4-0, or we can go to Southampton and win 5-0. But then at the same time, we can draw Roma, we can draw Rangers, we can lose at home to Ipswich. And then I think, the tumble down effect of this is like, when we build these managers up, inevitably when things go wrong, we're intrigued to see how they manage it. Maybe we were put underneath this illusion that Big Ange Postecoglou in the first 10 to 12 games of his Tottenham Hotspur reign, because we enjoyed the way in which he was speaking into existence what he was trying to do, was fascinating. But then last year, don't question my integrity, mate, and I know the problems, mate, and if you let me answer the question, mate, like all of those. Well, we wondered if that was teetering into, well, can he manage that pressure? The start of this season, I think he's undone himself. I think he took a huge miss. Now, I think he speaks to the press in a way in which he chooses to. I think he very rarely answers the question that's being asked. I think he manages the narrative pretty well. But I think his biggest misstep as manager so far was effectively saying that he wins trophies in his second year, no matter where he's been. That ain't Japan. That ain't Scotland. That ain't Australia. You're talking about Premier League, and you're talking about the multiple competitions with the expectations of a fan base in one of the most beautiful stadiums in the entire world. So, Spurs, yes. Question mark? Yes.
No, money down. I think you're absolutely right. I agree with everything Danny said there on Tottenham. The only things I would add are, imagine thinking that winning a trophy at Tottenham is the same as winning a trophy at Celtic. Like, I saw something today, like, oh, you're going to mention Celtic winning the Scottish League Cup. No one gives a Sorry, Tim. So no one's going to mention it. They've won like 119 or whatever trophies, the most successful club in like world football. No, you should cancel the club because you're obviously playing in a league that's too easy for you. Like, if you continue to play like 11-year-olds and win all the trophies, we don't celebrate that. And it's your own detriment in like Europe and reputationally that's been affected by that. So no, I don't celebrate that. I think that Scottish football's a joke. Doesn't have to be, shouldn't be. But the people who run it have made it a joke. And the other part of that on Tottenham is that, you know, if he has his best 11, I think Spurs are one of the best teams in the country. But without his best 11, if he had Man City money, if Postecoglou was at Man City, I think he might be amazing. But without Romero and without Van der Ven, he tried to play with Dragusin and Davies and Archie Gray or whatever. And not to criticize those players, but you ain't going to win the league with these guys. The best players and the best managers win the league 9 times out of 10. And the exception is a very disciplined, organized and lucky team. And Spurs, as proved, are not a lucky team. Never have been, never will be. So I don't think you can do the Postecoglou thing and win a bunch of trophies at this club.
I forgot to mention the part of this podcast that makes it so great is the terrible accents and the terrible impressions too, as well. You get a little bit of the American from Dunny, a little bit of the Tom, the
Don't
English
question
from Tom,
my integrity, mate.
and there it is, the accents
Brendan
for both
Rodgers.
Tom and Dunny. Where is he? All right, last one for this listener mailbag. We'll have another one in a week's time for you that we're all recording because of the magic of podcasts, but you're going to get one in about a week. But this one, it's just before Christmas. It's a couple days before, gentlemen. Dunny, I'll start with you. Take us through your ideal Christmas dinner, or maybe what you're doing this year, what you have planned this year. What's on the plate? What's in the cup? How are you celebrating? What's on the TV, if you have that as well? Ideal Christmas dinner.
Yeah, well, this year will not be at home. We're going to be on the road for Christmas, and we've been trying to do more experiences over things for our kids. So we will be down in Mexico. I believe Christmas Eve is going to be at a steakhouse at the resort that we're staying. I can 100% guarantee you there will be a high level brown with a single ice cube in my drink.
Good man.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, when we're home, it's, you know, the fireplace and the couch and, you know, got a little bit of ham. You know, my wife goes all out for like Thanksgiving. Everything's home cooked, down from the bread rolls all the way through any of the appetizers or desserts. Yeah, but this one's going to be more mellow. What we did in Spain is going to be different because we cooked ourselves, kind of did our own thing inside the apartment that we had. This one's going to be a little bit. We've done 2 Christmases on cruises, which are obviously a completely different experience as well. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I know it's going to be warm. I know I'm going to have a suntan. I know I'm going to have a bit of a hangover on Christmas morning when the kids are getting up and trying to figure out where Santa left everything. But yeah, this one isn't going to be as, I guess, normal as usual. My wife and I are trying to stretch our limits of expectation with our kids and show them something a little bit different. But I know for dinner for sure, I'll be having some type of, I don't know, some carne asada, some type of little chimichurri on the side. Ooh, mouth started.
You know, it's funny, Dunny or Tom. We made a joke of it to start this year. I completely forgot Dunny went to Barcelona. It was a whole joke that we had of like, do you remember Dunny went to Barcelona?
I never said Barcelona.
I know, but there was a joke if you're a longtime listener of this podcast that we'd bring up Spain and Barcelona all the time, and we'd be like, "Oh, he went to Barcelona? Who knew?"
Yeah.
I legitimately forgot that you went to Barcelona.
Do you know what the equivalent is? What, Horse is on vacation again?
Yeah,
Horsey can't show up on a Friday or Monday?
That's true.
Oh,
yeah.
another weekend off for Horsey?
Never working. That's very true.
I'm just hitting my dates. You know, Sirius has a lot of dates.
Trying.
You're a busy man. Christmas. I mean, it's I have 2 things at Christmas. Number one,
Rennie
is
hates Christmas. You hate it.
I do hate Christmas. I don't like it. And I'm gonna try and not ruin it for my kids who are 2 and 4. And my 4-year-old's super into Christmas this year. My 2-year-old's 2.5, and so he's super excited about Santa, and he sings Jingle Bells in the night. Wakes up at 2 a.m. singing Jingle Bells. Sorry, Tim. So,
Jesus.
so you know, I'm going to try and not ruin it for them. I'm also on Christmas Day going to be at my wife's sister's, and they've got a whole bunch of kids, so they're going to have a wild time. So, firstly, try not to ruin it for anyone. Just keep my goddamn mouth shut and eat and get through the day and not have an argument with anybody. So that's rule number 1. Food wise, as you know, I'm a vegetarian, and so I don't eat meat. I'm happy to not eat meat.
We're bringing him to Austin, by the way, for the All-Star game.
Yeah,
and
yes,
he's like, talk about bringing the worst human being ever to Austin.
Make my own food.
We made a terrible idea. Yeah,
I'm just gonna eat the bread with sauce on it, I guess. But so my 2 favorite things on the Christmas dinner. I'm gonna have I make a really good mushroom Wellington. So I'm making a mushroom Wellington and taking it with me to my sister-in-law's because she said I'm not cooking that. Sorry, Tim.
It's just a giant mushroom that you're cooking?
No, you put lots of different mushrooms in it. So like portobellos and obviously
Okay.
standard chestnuts and whatnot. But there's like 5 or 6 different morels.
So
and things.
you're bringing a vegetable plate.
Broadly, yeah, but you make so it's a full, but it's in the Wellington, so it's multiple mushrooms, herbs, spices in the Wellington, wrapped and cooked and then delivered. I know,
So it's a terrible
potatoes.
beef Wellington, is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You would say that, but I would say beef Wellington is a terrible mushroom Wellington.
Honey,
because
eat your
it's murder.
vegetables. He's brought a mushroom Wellington to dinner.
Yeah, well, I don't eat meat. Meat's gross, and you shouldn't eat it. It's murder. And the other thing is, red cabbage, braised red apple cabbage. I like to have as well. So there we go.
Is that
like eat your murder, everybody?
Is that like
it's
kimchi? Like
blood.
your cabbage? Is it like a version of like kimchi?
No, you cut it and soak it in like sugar and make it really sweet, and then you put apples in it and cinnamon and whatnot, and it comes out.
Interesting.
Really nice.
Yeah, I've never had that. That sounds
braised red cabbage is the other thing I like to make. Yeah, beautiful. Very
Interesting.
nice.
That's very good. I'll just do one quickly because I know we're going to wrap this. We'll do another holiday special that you're going to hear in about a week's time on your podcast feed. My dad every year, for whatever reason, decides to go full decadence for breakfast. And I think it's just because one year he decided, he's like, I'm going to make these recipes and we're going to wake up in the morning, do presents. This is back when I was like a teenager, and we still do it to this day. And then just lay around all day and watch movies or do whatever. It's shrimp and grits and biscuits and gravy, homemade biscuits and gravy. And the shrimp and grits is absolutely incredible, as is the biscuits and gravy. It is a
Sounds
meal
so good.
that's going to put you right back to sleep.
Oh yeah.
But oh god, it's the best. It's the thing I look forward to most because I'm with Tom. I'm not a huge holiday guy.
The issue with that is that you've said a bunch of words there that make no sense. The word grit shouldn't be a food. That's what you find at the bottom. Grit is what you find at the bottom of a bird cage. So like that's a weird word. You don't know what biscuits are, America. Biscuits are a sweet treat from the McVitie's factory. They aren't like a scone, which is bizarre. And do you even know what gravy is? I heard someone describe tomato sauce as gravy recently.
No.
So like, just get your definitions together, America. Okay, because none of that made sense to me.
Whoever said that gravy is a tomato sauce should immediately be punched in the fucking. Sorry.
That's the Week in the Tackle Christmas podcast. Have a nice Christmas and all that. Tim Horsey was here. Brian Dunseth is here. I'm Tom Rennie. We've got a in-betweeny New Year special to come next week.